Is this the worst spot Halo has ever been in? I saw a tweet the other day from Evolved, which inspired me to make this video, where he asked, has Halo ever been in a worse spot? The terrible TV show, the worst ever Halo game, the hemorrhaging population, content creators ditching. This is like 2012, except we had hope 343 would learn from their mistakes. Today there is no hope. And from what I read in the replies, it seemed like many people agreed this is the worst it's ever been for Halo, although some people argued that Halo was in a worse spot in the past. But I can honestly say, unequivocally, this is the worst it's ever been for Halo, in my opinion. Halo has never been this down bad. And immediately some of you might start thinking, well, that's not true. What about Halo 4 or MCC's launch or Halo 5? And we're going to go through them. But listen, we just got done waiting 6 years for this game, Halo Infinite. 6 years we waited for this game. I'm not saying we all had a lot of hope in the game. I'm just saying it was 6 years in between Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. And this game was supposed to do a lot more than it is. I mean, we know the problems with the game. It's just so redundant at this point to just keep going through them. So I just don't even feel like talking about the issues. We know the issues. I have talked about the issues. Everyone's talked about the issues. The issues are clear. Don't ask me what issues. What's wrong with the game? I'm just like, I'm not even going to entertain that. If you don't know what's wrong with the game at this point, then I mean that's on you. Halo Infinite flopped hard. Yes, I know people are still playing the game, right? I don't know what the population is on Xbox. It's not completely dead, but the population is a lot lower than it should be. There is no reason MCC should have ever come close to passing Halo Infinite's population on Steam, which it did. Halo Infinite's population is higher now, but the fact that MCC passed it at all this soon after launch is terrible. And with how big of a disappointment Halo Infinite was for many people, it has them like looking to the future. Okay, what's next? But you know how I see it, Infinite, we were supposed to be thoroughly entertained with what we got, right? Like that Halo Infinite launching, that was supposed to hold us over for a while. These people want all these updates for the game or even a new Halo game, but like I don't think that's in the cards. Like I think what we got, this game that many of us are completely bored with or just not even playing anymore at this point. Yeah, that right there was supposed to hold us over a while. But many of us were over that shit like the first week. And 343 has stated that they have a 10-year plan for Halo Infinite. And so far they are not off to a good start. It's taking them a while to update the game or add features and content that should have been here at launch. Many things are still not added to the game. The game's been out 6-7 months or something at this point, and we still can't select campaign missions. You know, if anybody ever asks you, hey, how's Halo Infinite? Just tell them you can't select campaign missions. I mean, that pretty much covers it right there. Oh yeah, you know how you could select campaign missions in like, you know, every video game ever? Yeah, I can't do that in Halo Infinite. Yeah, that's all anyone needs to know. If somebody asks how's the campaign, how's the multiplayer, how's Forge, how's custom games, just tell them you can't select campaign missions. Just tell them that. And just to be clear, because I know some people are going to point this out, yes, I understand that you can't select campaign missions in every game. Yes, I understand that. But many games you can, and you could in every mainline Halo game, and maybe even every non-mainline Halo game. Yes, I understand the Halo Infinite campaign is semi-open world, even though the open world kind of sucks and doesn't have a ton of replayability. There's some people that would have preferred a linear campaign. Just because it's open world doesn't mean everyone likes that. It's not an excuse to not have mission select in a Halo game. Okay, it's just not. It's also not an excuse to not have co-op in a Halo game. Okay, but anyways, moving on. There isn't much hope for Halo right now. There is that mode being worked on by Certain Affinity, but even then, I don't have much hope for that because of what we've seen with the game so far. And just the things like the performance, how terrible the performance is, and the engine and the UI is really bad. It just makes me feel like, the foundation of this game is so bad that, like, how can you build off of it? It just feels like everything needs to be reworked or just thrown away and redone. That is kind of what it feels like. Not only is Halo Infinite missing tons of features and modes, but it also has a bunch of underlying issues. Like things like the UI and UI limitations, which 343 has already talked about in regards to adding playlists. That's just unacceptable. That is absolutely unacceptable. And the UI limitations show with how long it takes the UI to load. Back when I was hopping on Halo Infinite now and then just to record footage, there were times where I would hop on, the UI just wouldn't fucking load, and I just got the fuck off. I wasn't dealing with it. So it's things like that really need to be addressed. The UI limitations, the awful performance of this game. This game runs like absolute dog shit on my PC on mostly low settings. And I have good specs. My specs are fine. And this game runs like trash on almost all low settings. Unacceptable. That is a big, like, even if I won't even want to play this game even when it does get like good content updates, because the performance is so goddamn awful. And part of the reason might have something to do with the PC optimization. It could be the engine itself that just can't keep up at times and just is falling apart as you play the game. I don't know. But it is a real issue. May 3rd, about 6 months after the launch of Halo Infinite, we got the Season 2 update. And with this update, we got 2 new maps, one BTB map, one arena map. We got 2 game modes, Last Spartan Standing and a shitty version of King of the Hill. But also with this update, they introduced gun jamming, which essentially was this bug where sometimes your semi-automatic gun would not shoot sometimes when you pressed shoot. They just fixed that issue. It took them 22 days to do it. 22 days to fix shooting in a shooting game. And this was not an issue at launch. This was an issue introduced with Season 2, 6 months after launch, and then it took them 22 days to fix shooting. They also, with the Season 2 update, they've removed skill jumps, which many players enjoy having skill jumps on these maps, especially competitive players. They also removed some fun campaign tricks or speedrunning strats from the campaign. They've since restored some of the skill jumps and restored the tank gun glitch. They haven't restored everything. So with the Season 2 update, 6 months after launch, they removed the fun and introduced a glitch where your guns don't shoot when you press shoot. And then took them 22 days to fix and restore those things. Yeah, not much hope for the future of this game at all. So yeah, absolutely, this is the worst spot Halo's ever fucking been in. Now let's go back in time a little bit, back to Halo 4, right? Halo 4 came out, 343 copied Call of Duty, what the hell is this? This game sucks, right? Okay, but that was 343's first fuck up, right? We had future games to look forward to, and 343, they actually made some improvements to Halo Reach with the TU settings and like Zero Bloom and stuff like that. They actually improved Reach in some ways. This was their first fuck up with Halo 4. Then in 2014, we got MCC. And just a little side note, it is so weird to me that there was only a 2-year gap in between Halo 4 and MCC. Like, looking back, that it felt like that was an eternity. But it was only 2 years in between? That is just so weird to me. Same thing in between the launch of Reach and Halo 4. That was also only 2 years. That is so fucking weird to me because it seemed so much longer. I swear to God, time is moving faster now, or at least it seems like it. But anyway, MCC, we get that in 2014, arguably worst video game launch of all time. But even then, Halo was not as down bad as it is right now because we had hope that they would fix the game, which eventually they did, and we still had hope for future Halo games, like Halo 5, and we got Halo 5 in 2015. Also a game that many people didn't like, but, Halo 5 did have its fans, right? Like, there are some people that would much rather be playing Halo 5 right now than Halo Infinite. Like, Halo 5 had its own fans. I and many others hated the game and felt it didn't really feel like Halo should, and I stand by that, but, Halo 5 did have its own fan base. And also with Halo 5, we got the best Halo Forge ever, which came out about a month and a half after launch. Only a month and a half after launch. And even though Halo 5 was missing some things at launch, it launched more content complete than Halo Infinite did. And during that time when Halo 5 was the current mainline Halo game, we had Halo Infinite to look forward to before we even knew what that game was. And in the years following Halo 5, MCC was fixed and significantly improved and had a bunch of content added to the game. They brought the games to PC. So Halo or MCC saw a lot of improvements the last several years. But now things have slowed down for MCC. We don't have a Halo game to look forward to. Infinite is in shambles. The Season 2 update fucked up the game in many ways, and then it took 343 22 days to fix and only restore some of the things that they removed that players liked. And yeah, there's just not much hope. Also, with games like Halo 4, Halo 5, and even MCC, even though it was broken, they launched more content complete than Halo Infinite did. And also, another thing I haven't mentioned is during that time, from Halo 4 through Halo 5, we had the original games, OG Halo Reach, OG Halo 3. They were still playable. The servers were up, and the games were, populated, at least enough to, find games in a couple different playlists. And hey, that was enough for me back then. People talk about how bad the Halo 4 days were, or MCC when it was broken at launch, or even Halo 5. But for me, I was still playing OG Halo Reach and OG Halo 3 back then. Good Halo games, right? So, and now I don't have that. Not only because they shut the servers down, but even before they shut the servers down, those games weren't really that populated anymore, which makes sense because they are very old games. But now, I don't even have those games to go back to. Yes, I understand MCC exists. Oh, you could just play the games in MCC. They're not the same in MCC. Yes, I know 343 has made some improvements to these games in MCC, but there's things that were in the original games that are not present in MCC. Things like the ranking system and the progression and the menus, the lobby, pre-game lobbies, service records, stuff like that. It's a different experience in MCC. So yeah, Halo Infinite is in a horrible spot right now, the worst it's ever been. And my interest in Halo has never been this low before. I mean, it's pretty much non-existent at this point. I'm not going to say there's no way Halo makes a comeback. I'm not going to say that. It's possible. It's possible. But I think it's extremely, extremely unlikely. If I had to make a guess, I think Halo Infinite is going to follow a similar path as the MCC. I do think Infinite will receive some updates that improves the game, and some of the updates will be really cool, but it'll never be enough to completely revive the game and have tons of people flooding back to it. That's my prediction. But it's possible that this certain affinity mode is insane and it's like the next big thing. Unlikely, but possible. So anyways, that's going to do it for this one. I'm going to get back to not playing Halo, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.